Hello, I'm Joan, and I'm going to present to you Mary Flannery O'Connor. Born March 25th, 1925, lived to August 3rd, 1964, was an American writer and essayist who died at the age of 39. Systematic lupus erythematosus, or SLE, is a long-term autoimmune disease that may affect the skin, joints, kidneys, brain, and other organs. The body's immune system mistakenly attacks healthy tissue, leading to long-term chronic inflammation. Along with this condition, depression, change in personality, and even psychosis can and often does occur. There is no cure, and it's not even known exactly what causes SLE. It is indicated that there are medications that can lead to the onset. It affects mostly women, and usually between the age 10 and 50. Flannery O'Connor was diagnosed with lupus erythematosus at the age of 25 and given 5 years to live. She extended this to 14 years, during which she wrote inexhaustively. The most prominent attack was in her hip joints, but as stated, lupus attacks healthy tissues of the organs, leading to eventual demise. As stated by Susan Gilbert, that O'Connor's struggle with lupus makes its way into her fiction, not only literally, through images of blood, disease, death, and twisted parent-child relationships, but figuratively as well. Specifically, I will suggest that many of the stories in O'Connor's final collection, Everything That Rises Must Converge, for one, replicate not only the dynamics of a relationship with her parents, but more interestingly, the dynamics of the disease. Its omnipresent, symptomatic, sudden, surprising ferocity, and most importantly, its grotesque drama of self against self. In Everything That Rises Must Converge, a young man and his grandmother, seemingly from two different worlds, hers of inequality between races and his wanting to embrace equality. It seems to him her eyes are blinded and that he is on the outside looking at her small world. To him, she's in need of a lesson, a rude awakening, so to speak. This happens with an encounter on a bus. When a black woman gets on the bus wearing the same hat she is, it looks better on her than it did on you, says her son. And when she offered the young black boy a penny, as she always did, she was brought to a halt by the boy's mother, who seemed to explode like a piece of machinery that had been given 1 ounce of pressure too much. Julian saw the black fist swing out with the red pocketbook. He shut his eyes and cringed as he heard the woman shout, "He don't take nobody's pennies." When he opened his eyes, the woman was disappearing down the street with a little boy staring wide-eyed over her shoulder. Julian's mother was sitting on the sidewalk. "I told you not to do that," Julian said angrily. "I told you not to do that." "Don't think that was an uppity Negro woman," he said. "That was the whole colored race, which no longer takes your condescending pennies. That was your black devil. She can wear the same hat as you, and to be sure," he added gratuitously, because he thought it was funny, "it looked better on her than it did on you. What all this means," he said, "is that the old world is gone." With this he thought she had learned her lesson, but in her fury she suffers a stroke, dying on the sidewalk, leaving him in grief-stricken and guilt-ridden. In our reading for the week, a good man is hard to find. The grandmother, again a prominent figure, manipulates the family into seeing a house in Georgia off their main course, a house from her memories of youth with a secret panel. To her horror, she remembers the house was not in Georgia but in Tennessee, and she's led them in the wrong direction. But it's too late. The family has been led to their death at the hands of the misfit. His face was familiar to her, as if she had known him all her life. "Why, you're one of my own children. You're one of my own babies," she cries just before he shoots her 3 times in the chest. Mother and son, Catholic icons, death and resurrection. As Jessie Houghton puts it in her essay, For O'Connor, a Catholic, the only way to save your life is to lose it. In Matthew 10:39, Jesus says, "Whoever finds his life will lose it. Whosoever loses his life for my sake will find it." O'Connor delves into this paradox in several of her short stories. A good man is hard to find. For instance, the grandmother loses her earthly life, but in the last moment she renounces her individualism. She may also be finding her spiritual life. Again, to quote Susan Gilbert, her disease bled into her fiction.